Salinda Disanayake and Geeta Kumarasinghe lose their SLFP organizer positions. 11 new party organizers appointed.
Police fire tear gas at medical faculty students' protest in Colombo.
Minister Sajid lays out the difference between the opposition and himself.
State Minister Sujeeva Singh says the law should be enforced against the former IGP over the Tajuddin homicide.
A very good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News here on Newsfirst on TV1 and Shakti TV. I'm Ramesh Urugal Bandara.
And I'm Jitendra Gunasena. Let's now take a look at the stories in detail. President Maithripala Sirisena handed over letters of appointment to 11 new electorate and district organisers of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party today.
Northwestern Provincial Councillor Kamal Indika has been appointed as the new organizer of the Hiriala electorate, a position previously held by Salinda Disanayake. Former chairman of the Bentura Pradesh Sabha Krishan Sirimana and former chairman of the LPTA Pradesh Sabha Amila Harshana Karyavasam were appointed as co-organizers of the Bentura LPTA electorate, which was previously held by Geeta Kumarasinghe. Among the new appointees is Pradeep Jayawardena, a grandson of former President late J.R. Jayawardena, who was appointed as the organizer for the Gampaha district. Former Western Provincial Councillors Gamini De Silva and Buddhika Iddamalgoda were appointed as co-organisers for the Colombo district. Manula Chamal Pereira was appointed as organizer for the Kalutara district. Pial Dalshara Guruge was appointed as organizer for the Gaul district, while Nalin Pushpakumara was appointed organizer for the K Gaul district. Tushara Tilakaratna was appointed as organizer for the Kurunagala district. Devika Kodituwaku was appointed as organizer of the Kandy district. Meanwhile, RMSB Ratnayaka received his appointment as organizer for the Nuwara Elia electorate from the president on a prior occasion.
On to one of our top stories tonight. The police took steps to disperse protesting university students who were demonstrating against the privatization of education and the Malabe Medical College in Colombo today.
The Medical Faculty Student Activist Committee commenced a protest march opposite the medical faculty premises in Colombo today. The march was organized to mark the completion of 100 days since they launched a Satyagraha campaign against the Malabe Medical College and the privatization of education. Student monks and students from other universities also participated in the demonstration. The students had attempted to march towards the presidential secretariat via the Lotus roundabout in Colombo Fort. However, the police blocked the road and informed the students of the court order obtained against the protest march. However, students disregarded the order and proceeded to attempt to remove the barricades and march on, prompting the police to fire tear gas and water cannons.
Palita. Hey, Kauda. Hey, Atarega. Hey, Ati, then Yan.
The demonstrators then protested against the police and staged a sit-down rally on the road adjacent to the Sambodhi Viharya in Fort.
ඉලක්ක කරලා
They did this with the sole purpose of harming us and not with the intention of removing us or sending us away after firing tear gas. 3 of our brothers have been admitted to the hospital. If they are harmed even slightly, we will be back again. The time that we held discussions behind barriers is long gone. Without solving the real problems of the people, this government is assaulting and attacking the people in this manner. The marches that are organized by the government does not have any of these suppressions. They do not have court orders and tear gas attacks. We tell the rulers if they are not ready to solve the problems of the people, we will rally with the people around to abolish this shop to provide fake degrees. Our correspondent reported that the protesters dispersed following the rally.
6 persons who were injured during the demonstration have been admitted to the accident ward of the National Hospital in Colombo. A spokesperson for the hospital noted that one of the injured is a police officer. She added that 2 students were admitted for in-house treatment while one of them is undergoing surgery.
On to more local news. A program to distribute aid among the people of Kolonava commenced today.
Roofing sheets were provided at this event to homeowners whose homes were damaged by gale force winds recently. A gathering including ministers Anurapriya Dashanayapa and Duminda Disanayaka graced the event.
As the Central Committee of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, we will provide a solution to the stories we are hearing regarding the party in the future and will take steps to take the party forward with discipline. Stop listening to the nonsense of others, think in line with your values and join with us to journey forward. The 2 major parties united to form a national government in order to eradicate shortcomings in the country. As a party represented in the national government, the SLFP will celebrate May Day with much fanfare to protect the rights of labourers at the Samanala grounds in Galle. Labour Day is not intended for people to use labourers to secure the victory of their political cartels. So all SLFPers have decided that Labour Day is their day and that they will celebrate it with the main party and not with various cartels and groups. In the past, the SLFP did not have a leader. We have a leader today. The SLFP is strong today than it was then. Only those who love the SLFP can come to Galle. Only those who are truly opposed to the UNP. We know who is making deals with the UNP. People who did not even stay in Sri Lanka for 24 hours after they were defeated on the 8th of January and fled the country have returned today. I wish to ask the Appohamis in the joint opposition if they are going to make Basil Rajapaksa the next leader of the SLFP or even the country. It was those in the Rajapaksa family that sent Mahinda home. In truth, UNP ministers and MPs ran the country not during the time of President Maithripala Sirisena, but during the time of Mahinda Rajapaksa. That is the bitter truth.
A group of youth public representatives of the SLFP who are representing the opposition convened a media briefing today.
The heading of the letter that was sent to us by the General Secretary of the Alliance calls us to the Samanala grounds for the commencement of the victory to establish an SLFP government. We would like to tell him and all the others, before we come to the Samanala grounds, properly constitute the 96 seats that were given by the public. It was not us who sold 45 out of the 96 to the UNP. If the 96 were properly constituted, we would only need 17 more. If all of us are to attend one May Day rally, we ask our members who have obtained ministerial positions in the government to withdraw from the government and to join us. Take your arms from Ranil Wickramasinghe's shoulders and lead this government. There are a few more days left. Join us. We invite you all to get onto one stage.
The youth leaders and the people's representatives have to understand what the May Day rally is. Any individual who is involved in any profession can engage in the May Day celebrations. If that is being obstructed, what we can say is that the democracy that was spoken of on the 8th of January is flowing outside the door.
We have to very clearly say that we will not join the May Day rally that is spoken of by the SLFP while they are in a relationship with the UNP. Not only that, we heard yesterday and the day before that Basil is going around giving money to people in a bid to gather them. If they prove that money was given in that manner, I am ready to step down from my position as MP.
Journalists also raised questions about the appointment of new organisers for the SLFP.
It was Kanchana Vijayasekara who initially lost his post as electorate organizer. A number of youth representatives lost their posts. We feel that the appointment of these organizers makes it evident that someone wishes to take the SLFP to its grave.
The JVP addressed several issues at a media briefing convened in Colombo today.
We should defeat the racism of Vigneswaran in the north and the racism of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa in the south. The racism in the south is being fed by the racism of north. We believe that the party should engage in politics while resolving the issue of the people. But during the past, the government was unable to provide solutions for the basic issues faced by the people in the north after the war. So the people in the north still face difficulties. The Prime Minister said that Sri Lankan Airlines will become a partnership business. What about the privatization of state enterprises? The policy followed by the government is privatization. It is true that Sri Lankan Airlines is incurring losses. The leaders of the country should be blamed for that, not the people. During former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's term, the burden of maintaining a company called Mihin Lanka was passed to Sri Lankan Airlines and it was destroyed. If the government can't prevent Sri Lankan Airlines making losses, how will they uplift a country?
Today, the Ministry of Parliamentary Reforms and Mass Media informed all the media institutions and journalists that using the term joint opposition is a violation of the law.
Today, the Ministry of Parliamentary Reforms and Mass Media informed all the media institutions and journalists that using the term joint opposition is in violation of the law. The ministry notes that the ruling and opposition parties have been clearly defined in the current parliament. Despite this fact, the release states that several parliamentarians who represent a main political party in the ruling party and do not represent neither the opposition leader nor the opposition's chief organizer are engaging in an organized political campaign under the name Joint Opposition. A media release issued by the Secretary to the Ministry adds that using the term joint opposition assists in its promotion, which in turn sets an unnecessary negative and illegal precedent to society. The statement by the Secretary to the Ministry notes that according to the current government's media policy based on good governance, at a time when media freedom is allowed to grow devoid of any censorship, one should not act on personal objectives that are against the law and the ethics and code of conduct of media. This evening, MP Bandula Gunawardena convened a media briefing and expressed the following views. The Secretary of the Ministry of Mass Media has threatened the democracy of this country by making such a statement. What power does the Secretary, who is a state official, have to order the media to not use the term joint opposition? This is against the constitutions.
On to more local news. Speaking at a Samatas 7 housing aid provision scheme in Kekol today, Minister Sajid Premadasa expressed the following views.
I believe that the group who were told to go home by the people but are remaining, saying they will come into power next month or the month after that, are truly fools. They are attempting to make calculations depicting the 20 million people of this country as fools. I also wish to state something clearly. We are hearing now that a group of powerful persons from the joint opposition are going around the country distributing money and other goods in order to secure their May Day rally. Look at the difference. We did not come to Kegol to distribute money. I did not come to Kegol to distribute money on behalf of the UMP rally. I am here to build houses for you. That is the difference.
UMP rally
Concessionary housing loans were provided to 800 families at this event held at the Kegol Town Hall.
The country launch of the regional report published by the UN Economic and Social Commission for the Asia and the Pacific, or UNESCAP, titled Economic and Social Survey of Asia and the Pacific 2016 was held in Colombo today.
Senior representatives from government institutions and policy research institutions as well as development practitioners were present for the launch. UNESCAP says that the economic growth in Sri Lanka was stable at 4.9% in 2015. However, this rate remained much lower than the average growth rate of 8.5% during the period of 2010-2012. It adds that youth employment in Sri Lanka is 10 times higher than overall employment, the largest difference in the Asia-Pacific region.
Now the argument is that this country should focus more on the domestic market because of where we can fit. I think in our country like small open economy like Sri Lanka can't no longer depend on that. Still we have to focus on the export-oriented growth where we expect regional countries will boost their domestic demand, then small countries like Sri Lanka can benefit. That is where it's important that we have a lot more integration with this region in terms of free trade agreements, in terms of service and other economic integration.
It also adds that the country's largest source of foreign exchange, workers' remittances, were held back by declining income inflows from the Middle East. UNSCAP has projected growth to gain further momentum at 5.4% in 2016 and 5.9% in 2017. However, it adds that one immediate policy challenge is to ensure a strong fiscal position and debt sustainability.
Everyone will have to pay more taxes, and then people, that's where the policymakers like us will have to convince the overall public, general public that, Sri Lankan taxpayers, Sri Lankan people should be able to pay more taxes than what they have been paying. You can see the lot of debate now going on. VAT is going to be increased by 15%, a lot of taxes are going to be increased, but there's no other choice.
The report offers some explanations as to why the growth momentum has significantly moderated in recent years. Because what we've seen is, despite the currency depreciation in many major regional economies, the export boost has been much less than expected. Whereas, especially if you have high external debt, the risks have risen. The report recommends, region as a whole, so despite low inflation, we recommend that further easing in the monetary policy stance may not be desirable.
The Indian Supreme Court has requested the Indian government to come up with a proposal for the appointment of a committee to look into the issues raised regarding bad debt and huge write-offs by public sector banks.
The Reserve Bank of India and the Indian Banks Association have been named as respondents in a public interest litigation petition filed in 2003, which has since been widened to include the RBI, banks and other financial institutions. A bench comprising of the Chief Justice of India asked the Central and Reserve Bank of India to respond to various issues raised by senior advocate of the Centre for Public Interest Litigation in the matter. The court also allowed the Indian Banks Association, another respondent, to file a response. The Indian Supreme Court had held in December that RBI cannot withhold information under the guise of confidence or trust with financial institutions and is accountable to provide information sought by the general public. Following this, in February, RBI had said over 1,000 billion Indian rupees was written off by public sector banks in the last 3 years. Experts are of the view that the situation would affect Sri Lanka as well. Committee on Public Enterprises records cite that loans written off by state banks in Sri Lanka for the year 2010 alone amounted to about 45.78 billion rupees. Records also show that during that year, the Bank of Ceylon has written off 12.6 billion rupees as bad debts, while the People's Bank has written off 18.74 billion rupees and the National Savings Bank had written off 2.11 billion rupees in bad debts.
This is a very good example even for the Sri Lankan policymakers, because if you look at the balance sheets of state banks in Sri Lanka, we can see there's a huge percentage of non-performing and outstanding loans. There are different reasons why people are not paying loans, and there are acceptable and fair reasons why not to pay the loan back. At the same time, there are some people who intentionally do this as a practice because of they know that the government particularly banks can do nothing to recover most of these outstanding loans. The reason behind this malpractice is the political intervention. The big people, big businessmen, they borrow money from the bank and they do not pay it back. Therefore, the good governance should take prompt action to revisit the existing rules and regulations, because we know that the existing rules and regulations are not enough to tackle these matters, and do the necessary amendments or to bring new laws in order to prevent and mitigate these malpractices in financial sector.
S. Sivakaran, the secretary of the Lanka Tamil Arsu Kachi Northern Province Youth Organization, who was arrested by the Terrorist Investigation Division, was released on bail today. Sivakaran was produced before the Java Kacheri Magistrates Court in Jaffna today.
Secretary of the ITAC Northern Province Youth Organisation S. Sivakaran was arrested by the TID in Mera last evening. He was apprehended in connection with the discovery of a suicide vest and explosives at a house in Chavakacheri on the 30th of April. Kalai Arasan alias Arivalhan, the LTTE's former intelligence chief in Trincomalee, who was rehabilitated and reintegrated following the war, was also arrested by the TID on Tuesday in Arasadi, Trincomalee. His family had lodged a complaint with the Human Rights Commission office in Jaffna over the arrest. Meanwhile, Ganakathapillai Sivamurthy alias Nagulan, who was also rehabilitated and reintegrated, was arrested on Tuesday in Jaffna. The authorities had also previously arrested Idimali Singham Arya Chandran alias Ram, the former LTTE leader in Ampara, who was also rehabilitated and reintegrated. The police claimed that Nagulan had acted as second in command to Ram. Police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara confirms that 4 former LTTE members who were arrested over the discovery of explosives in Chavakacheri are in the custody of the TID. He noted that the suspects have been interrogated over the incident. Issuing a statement on the matter, the Tamil National Alliance said that such arrests were made in the past few days following abductions. The TNA, while condemning the arrest, had called on the respective parties to take action over the matter. Meanwhile, the BBC Sandeshya questioned Defence Secretary Karuna Hettiarachchi on whether there exists a situation where the LTT is raising its head once again, as claimed by certain opposition politicians. The Defence Secretary had stated in response that he is unable to comment on the matter at present. The Defence Secretary had accepted that he too has received reports that former LTTE leader Ram was arrested by police officers in civil attire using an unofficial van. Hettiarachchi had told the BBC Sandeshya that he in no way condones police officers arresting any person when not in uniform.
State Minister Sujeev Singha, speaking at Sirikotha today, made a strong statement on the Tajuddin homicide.
Today, the Rajapakshas must answer to the secret killings and thefts that were committed. This is not the first time we are speaking of the murder of Tajuddin. Who concealed these facts? The law must be enforced against the former Inspector General of Police. He was aware of the killer. However, everything was concealed. Everyone must be brought before the law and punished. We promise that the maximum punishment will be imposed on those from the Rajapaksha generation that are linked to this murder, casting their position. A better IGP has been appointed and a good Attorney General has been appointed. Following the appointments, the directions of all matters changed. We are now searching for the thieves.
State Minister Sujeev Singha was speaking at an event organised to celebrate his appointment as the new chairman of the Public Services Trade Unions under the Jatika Sevaka Sangamaya.
A car caught fire on the Dematagoda flyover this evening.
Severe traffic congestion was reported on the lane leading out of Colombo on Baseline Road as a result of the fire. Motorists were advised by the police to use alternate routes.
A high-level forum on the UN SCAP or Sri Lanka pilot project on space technology applications for agriculture, drought monitoring and early warning, and the launch of the Asia-Pacific Disaster Report 2015 was held in Colombo today.
The forum, organised by the Arthur C. Clarke Institution for Modern Technologies, was attended by several ministers, members of agrarian departments and several other international and local dignitaries.
Between 2000 to 2015, more than 37,000 people were killed by disasters in Sri Lanka. 13.9 million more were affected and US dollars 1.9 billion in damages were caused. The numbers of human lives lost through landslides has been a significant decrease in since 2003, and this can be attributed to the multiple interventions. I am pleased to note that my ministry, with the technical assistance of the UN, has developed a long-term plan, the Sri Lanka Comprehensive Disaster Management Program, covering the period 2014 to 2018.
It is now time to work together to complement each other's capabilities and specialties and to build a much stronger, technologically advanced and resilient Sri Lanka. A clear plan on moving forward to particularly implementing and expand Sri Lanka's drought monitoring and early warning system. This is something that we all need to do together.
5 persons, including Yoshitha Rajapaksa, the son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, appeared before the Kaduwela Magistrates Court today.
Directors of the CSN TV channel Nishantha Ranatunga, Rohana Velivita, Ashan Ravintha Fernando and Kavishan Dissanayaka appeared in court today along with Yoshitha Rajapaksa. The police requested court to issue an order on the chairman of the organisation to provide a report to the Financial Crimes Investigation Division on stock market investment by the 5 suspects including Yoshitha Rajapaksa, and also requested that a warrant be issued in English for the 6th and 10th suspects. The police also requested court to issue an order for the 5 passports held by Yoshitha Rajapaksa to be presented to the FCID and submitted that the suspects had made false statements in this regard. Police also requested court to order the Director General of Customs to conduct an investigation into the import of an outdoor broadcast vehicle and 2 luxury vehicles belonging to CSN, which were allegedly imported at a low price without paying the relevant custom duties. The police submitted further that communication equipment of the CSN channel were affixed on the Kokaville Tower on the orders of a former chairman of the Rupavahini Corporation, Mohan Samaranayaka, adding that there was no legal agreement for this task. Noting that payments were made to the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation for the use of communication tower via an account under the name of the organisation to protect CSN, the police requested court for an authorization to investigate how funds were transferred to this account. Attorneys representing the suspects voiced objections over the declaration of assets pertaining to the case in open court. The suspects also agreed to appear before the FCID whenever they are required to do so. The acting magistrate informed the police to make submissions to the magistrate regarding several submissions made today on the 5th of May.
We expect justice before the law. This government has resorted to covering everything up through such actions. At times, they exhume buried bodies. They investigate ancestral properties. They jump into homes and dig up latrine pits. They dig up graves. This government is not looking into the welfare of the people today. The paddy farmer has been orphaned. The labourer has been orphaned. They are inquiring into the former president and former ministers and MPs. But there are persons in this cabinet too who have cases against them. We will not mention names, but look into those as well.
The Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce is gearing up to lend a voice to amplify the work that women businesses are doing in the country at the Women Entrepreneur of the Year Awards in August this year.
Entering its 9th year, the awards have so far recognized over 135 such outstanding women, all having demonstrated excellence in their areas of business, from economic growth to social change, from local to global reach across multiple sectors. The ceremony will take place on the 5th of August, and MTV MBC Channels Private Limited is the media sponsor for the event.
I would like to emphasize that while we are working towards this event, which will be graced by His Excellency the President Maithripala Sirisena as chief guest, our focus is beyond just the award ceremony and function. Through this ceremony, we will be recognizing the contribution that women entrepreneurs make towards the economy of our country, which we proudly acknowledge. The Women Entrepreneur Awards will be the platform to recognize and applaud their success, while inspiring potential women entrepreneurs, those embarking on businesses, to reach for the stars in accomplishing their desired goals.
Well, that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara.
And I'm Jitendra Gunasena. Good night and take care.